What's that up there? Oh no, they're back! I've gotta protect my butt!
Have those pesky alien abductors showed up again to probe you? Need a way to distract them from taking any more of your internal organs? Maybe you could use a metagalactic pizza. Here at Metagalactic Pizza, we have over 3,579 and a half pizzas to choose from. BBEs can't resist our organ donor supreme pizza. Delicious spleens removed from 7 different life forms from 3 different galaxies, slow roasted in Martian spinal fluid. Good. But what a price! Right now you can get 2 extra large pizzas and most of a medium pizza for only $20.
20 human dollars? Why, that's insanity! It's the insanity that makes their organs so spicy.
Just remember, when you see the flashing lights in the sky and feel your implant tingle, maybe you could use a Metagalactic Pizza.
So, more pizza?
I suppose I could eat one more slice, but you're next, buddy.
Maybe you could use a Metagalactic Pizza.
Foolish mortal, you have inadvertently tuned into the forbidden frequency. It's Zombie Astronaut's Frequency of Fear.
We interrupt this theme song to bring you the following special bulletin.
This is Channel 13's Action News Extreme with Bob Wolfenbridgen.
Good evening. This is Bob Wolfenbridgen with a special report. Reports have been coming in of some unidentified object crashing just outside of Grover's Mill, right outside of Phoenix. We take you now to Randy Towerhausen at Grover's Mill.
Alright, move along. Move away from the alien spacecraft. Nothing to see here. Move along. Get on with you.
Good evening, Bob.
Now, Randy, just to clarify for our listeners and myself, I was under the impression Grover's Mill was in New Jersey.
Grover's Mill, the town, is most certainly in New Jersey, Bob. But this is Grover's Mill, the mill owned and operated by a gentleman named Grover.
Hello, everybody.
So what's the scene out there, Randy?
Well, I hardly know where to begin. I just got here, haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. Yes, that's it. That's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit. Must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with what's left of splinters. A local gentleman's club featuring women with wooden legs. Caters mostly to pirates.
It's a tragedy, me hearties. It's a tragedy.
What I can see of the object... What I can see of the object, it's... What I can see of the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor. At least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge can of Vienna sausages, which reminds me of my recent divorce.
I got those Vienna sausages with the house, you bastard.
It has a...
You wait till I tell my lawyer.
It has a diameter of... what would you say, Dr. Wilhelm von Martinez?
73 cents.
I'm not even sure what that means. The metal sheath is... well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is sort of yellowish, whitish, bluish, orangish.
Randy?
Brownish, reddish, greenish.
Randy?
Yes, Bob?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but aren't you terrifically colorblind?
Yes, Bob. Yes, I am. I see curious spectators now are pressing close to the object in spite of efforts of the police to keep them back. They're getting in front of my line of vision. Would you mind standing to one side, please? Would you just stand to one side? Could you please? Gosh darn it.
Stand to one side!
Much better. Here's Mr. Grover, owner of the mill here. He may have some interesting facts to add. Mr. Grover, would you tell the radio audience as much as you remember of the rather unusual visitor that dropped in your backyard?
Now I am here?
Yes, you are, Mr. Grover. Now, sir, if I may...
Now I am far.
Mr. Grover...
Now I am near.
If I could just ask, Mr. Grover...
Now I am far.
It appears Mr. Grover is far at the present. We'll get back to him later. I wish I could convey the atmosphere, the background of this fantastic scene. Some of the more daring souls are now venturing near the edge. Perhaps too near the edge. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. It appears that he just ate the policeman's brain, which is kind of weird. He's coming over. Maybe I can ask him what the object felt like. Sir!
Yes?
We're broadcasting live and wanted to find out what the object felt like.
Well, it feels like an invasion of the Earth.
Hey, that's my mic.
Welcome, fellow astronauts, to the frequency of fear. I'm your host, the Zombie Astronaut.
Give me my mic.
Yes, it feels like an invasion this evening. Strange metal objects falling from the sky usually mean invasion. Take this episode of The Mysterious Traveler. When writer Keith Roberts is given the task of writing famous scientist Dana Friedberg's biography, Professor Friedberg informs him of an explosion in Montana scientists took for a meteor crash, but a large piece of metal was found to have fallen from the sky, a metal previously undiscovered by man. When the two of them decide to investigate, they discover there's far more behind the mysterious chunk of metal. Listen now to the Mysterious Traveler episode 0 Hour.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you'll enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as you hear the story I call 0 Hour. Our story tonight begins in the large, luxurious office of Dr. William Jackson, the noted psychiatrist. Dr. Jackson, a tall, intelligent-looking man in his late 50s, is seated in a chair beside a fireplace reading a patient's case history. As he reads, the door to his office is quietly opened, and Keith Roberts, a slender, nervous man of 35, peers into the room.
Pardon me, Doctor.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Roberts. Come in.
Thank you.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Doctor, I just couldn't stay in my room. I must talk to you. I simply must.
Now, won't tomorrow do?
No. It'll be too late then. It's got to be tonight.
I see. Well, here, take this chair by the fireplace.
Thank you. Doctor, I know you're my final hope. That if you don't find me sane, they'll put me away. This is my last chance. I must make you see that my story is true.
Are you sure it can't wait till tomorrow?
No. Every minute counts. Even now, time is running out.
You sound as though an overwhelming disaster were about to happen.
Yes, Doctor, that's just it. A disaster such as the world has never known is about to happen. It will affect every human being on Earth.
Suppose you start from the beginning and tell me it.
From the beginning?
Yes.
Well, I suppose it all began that day 6 months ago in Philip Cromwell's office. Cromwell is the fellow who publishes my books. I'm a writer, you know.
Yes, I know.
Well, Cromwell told me that he had acquired the literary rights to the life of the world-famous scientist, Professor Dana Friedberg. And I was the man who would write the professor's biography. I think that day, Doctor, was the happiest in my life. I was to have the opportunity to talk to Professor Dana Friedberg every day and grow to know him intimately. He was a scientist and humanitarian who I, like countless thousands, had admired and respected for years. Well, it was with a certain feeling of excitement that I arrived at Ardmore, Pennsylvania, where the professor lived and taught. I registered at the inn and then phoned the professor's secretary for an appointment. Professor Friedberg lived in a small cottage, and as his housekeeper led me to his study, I could see the house was plainly furnished. The study itself was overflowing with books. They were everywhere, and there amidst the books sat the professor himself, white-haired, small, puffing on a pipe.
Come in, Mr. Roberts, come in.
Thank you, Professor.
Here, let me remove the books from this chair so you can sit down. So, you are the young man who is going to write my biography?
Yes, sir. I want this book to do justice to your life, Professor, to make people realize what you've contributed to humanity.
Well, I might have contributed a great deal more if people only understood men of science.
How do you mean, sir?
Scientists work and think in terms of the future. Scientific research has always been handicapped by men who had no faith in the visions of science.
Well, don't you think, Professor, science has achieved so many miracles that people aren't as skeptical as they once were?
I wish I could agree. But believe me, Mr. Roberts, if I were to advance the theory that there is a civilization on Mars, many people would say that old Professor Friedberg is in his dotage.
Yes, I suppose you're right. You speak of a civilization on Mars. Do you have any theories on that, Professor?
No, none at all, my friend. But it is quite possible there is a civilization on Mars, one even more highly developed than our own.
Well, I find the idea quite intriguing.
We scientists here on Earth are planning atomic-powered ships. Ships that will be able to fly to other planets. Who knows, perhaps Mars or some other planet is far in advance of us scientifically. Perhaps we will wake up one morning to find that we have visitors from another planet.
Strange, isn't it? When we think of such things, it's always we who will fly to another planet. It never occurs to us that another planet may reach us first.
Exactly. And yet who knows? At this very moment, a rocket ship or some other type may be on its way to Earth. Yes, my friend, things may be happening on other planets that we here on Earth cannot even comprehend. Yes, I have learned one important fact in this long life of mine. Anything is possible.
The days that followed went swiftly. And as the weeks slipped by and my notes on the professor accumulated, I knew that his was one of the great minds of all time. I was constantly astounded by his wide knowledge on a score of subjects. It was small wonder that famous people from all over the world came to see this remarkable man. It was almost with regret that 4 months later, I finished the biography and called upon the professor to say goodbye.
Oh, so you are returning to New York?
Yes, Professor.
I shall miss our daily talks, Keith. Yes, it had become a most pleasant habit.
I'll miss them, too. Professor, is anything wrong?
Wrong? What makes you ask?
Oh, come now, Professor. We've known each other for over 5 months. By this time, I can sense your every mood, and something seems to be worrying you.
Yes, Keith, something is. I don't know whether you read about it in the papers, but a week ago there was a tremendous explosion in the wilds of Montana.
Yes, I recall the papers said it was a meteor.
Yes, that seemed the obvious answer. After all, a meteor crashing into Earth is not an uncommon event.
Are you trying to tell me it wasn't a meteor?
A government investigation was made at the site of the explosion. A huge piece of metal weighing several tons was found buried deep in the earth.
That certainly sounds like a meteor.
Yes, it does. But when the metal was dug up and examined, a very curious fact was revealed.
What was that?
The metal could not be identified. It was a new element, never before seen on Earth.
A new element?
Yes. Every conceivable test was made. It is a metal that is 1,000 times harder than steel, and yet it is lighter.
Well, what does Washington think?
They believe it to be a meteor, a type that never crashed onto Earth before.
And what do you believe, Professor?
I have a theory, Keith, which I have not told to anyone as yet. Do you recall our conversation the day we met?
Oh, yes.
I mentioned at the time that it was quite conceivable that some other planet might have a much higher civilization than our own.
Yes, and you said it was possible that we might wake up some morning and discover that we had visitors from... Professor, you don't mean that the explosion...
Why not?
You think that explosion might have been a rocket ship from another planet that crashed into the Earth?
It is only a theory, but it is not beyond the realm of possibility.
If that is true, then it means this metal is wreckage.
Yes. Before passing on this theory to Washington, I should like to conduct a personal investigation.
You mean go to Montana, the site of the explosion?
Yes. Would you care to go with me?
I'd like to very much.
Good. Then I suggest we leave tomorrow, without divulging our plans to anyone. We fly to Helena, Montana, hire a car there, and drive the rest of the way.
How much further do you think it is, Professor?
It should be just beyond that hill ahead.
Now, this certainly is desolate country. You can hardly call this a road.
Yes. That large ranch house we passed 20 miles back is the nearest dwelling to where the explosion occurred.
Well, we're coming to the top of the hill.
Oh, there it is, Professor.
Oh, say, that's quite a hole.
Yes. According to the report, it is 200 feet in diameter and 70 feet deep.
What an explosion that must have been.
I understand it was visible for 60 miles.
Well, just what are your plans, Professor?
Well, the hole has already been thoroughly examined by the government investigators. I suggest that we carefully search the ground for hundreds of yards around the hole. They may have overlooked something.
I see. Well, here we are, Professor.
Yes. Now we shall see if there is any substance to my theory.
Professor?
Yes?
Found anything yet?
No.
Oh, we've been searching for almost 2 days now. Do you think there's much point in looking any further?
Let us not give up yet, Keith.
But we're already a mile from the site of the explosion. It isn't likely that anything landed this far away.
I do not agree with you. An explosion that intense... Hello? What is this?
What's that you're digging up?
Seems like a piece of metal. It is so covered with dirt, it is hard to tell. Keith, it is a small metal cylinder.
Yes, you're right.
And it is made of the same metal. Look. There are small grooves on the end of the cylinder. And symbols.
Symbols? Let me see. Yes. You're right.
There are 5 of them.
I've never seen symbols like these before.
All right. And I am familiar with 12 languages.
Professor, this means you're right. That explosion, it wasn't a meteor. It was the wreck of a rocket ship from another planet.
Yes, I am convinced of it now.
What's our next step, Professor?
We must get to Washington at once. This is a matter of the highest importance. This find we have made, it means a new era has begun for mankind. Keith, perhaps you had better stop at that ranch house up ahead.
Why, Professor?
I will use their telephone and call Washington. I'll ask General Thompson of the War Department to put an Army plane at our disposal.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. There are probably several Army planes at Helena.
Yes, I am sure there are. The General can have us flown non-stop to Washington. Oh, but we are coming to the private road that turns into the ranch house.
Yes, I see it.
How do you do, gentlemen? My name is Jason DeCoven. I'm owner of this ranch. I understand you wish to use my telephone.
Yes, if it is not too much trouble.
I'm very sorry, Professor Friedberg, but my phone is out of order.
I see you know me.
But of course, Professor. I've long been a great admirer of yours.
I am sorry your phone is not working. Come, Keith, we had better be going.
Oh, but, Professor, it's already dark. It's time for supper. Won't you join me? I'd be honored.
No, thank you. We really must be on our way.
Come now, Professor. Surely Washington can wait a few more hours.
What makes you think we're going to Washington?
My men were watching the two of you from a distance as you examined the site of the explosion. Naturally, I assume you're on your way to Washington with the results of your investigation. Tell me, Professor, did you find anything of interest?
Who are you?
I've already told you, Professor. My name is Jason DeCoven.
Your accent, I cannot see. Would you mind telling me your nationality?
Come now, Professor. As one of Earth's most brilliant scientists, surely you must have guessed by this time.
I see it all now. Yes, I see it all. Professor, what's this about? Who is this fellow? Keith, we have made a terrible blunder.
What do you mean?
That explosion was a rocket ship from another planet. But you and I mistakenly assumed it was the first.
You mean Other landings have been attempted?
Yes.
But how do you know?
Standing before you is living proof that a successful flight has been made from another planet to this Earth.
You mean Dick Owen?
Yes.
But he looks like you or I or anyone else.
Quite true. But nevertheless, he is not a creature of the Earth. From what planet are you, Dick Owen?
I am from Mars, Professor.
Mars?
Yes, gentlemen. I can see you're overwhelmed by all this, and understandably. Might I suggest supper? And after we've had supper, I shall be glad to answer any questions you may wish to ask. It's a pity you gentlemen weren't in the proper frame of mind to enjoy this supper. My chef excelled himself tonight. I can see you're both impatiently waiting to ask questions. Please feel free to do so, gentlemen.
How long have you been on Earth, Mr. Biko?
I arrived in 1931.
1931?
Yes, 17 years ago. I arrived on the first atomic rocket ship.
Just how many flights have been made these past 17 years between Mars and Earth?
411. That explosion 10 days ago of one of our ships was our first mishap. Most unfortunate.
Those 411 flights you speak of were all the landings made here?
Yes, this is our main base. Our ships land here at night, dispose of passengers, and take off in a matter of 3 hours.
Passengers? Well, just how many men from Mars are there on Earth at this moment?
A little over 40,000.
40,000?
Yes. 7,000 are in the United States. The others are scattered all over the world.
For what purpose?
I believe in this country you call it a fifth colony.
In other words, you are preparing for an invasion?
Yes,
But why? Why?
We Martians, Professor, are but 200 years ahead of the Earth, scientifically speaking. The Council of Mars believes that if we don't conquer Earth now, someday Earth will conquer us. It is what you might term a preventive war.
You're actually going to invade us?
Yes, Mr. Hunt. We now have 40,000 agents in key positions all over the world. And our fleet of invasion ships are ready.
I take it then that we may expect the invasion momentarily.
Yes, to be exact, the Earth will be invaded on June 22nd at 8:30 p.m. New York time.
But that's less than a month from now.
Yes.
And your plans are to wipe out the people on Earth?
Only if they resist. And that would be most foolhardy. Our fleet of 200 atomic ships carry weapons that will overwhelm you in a matter of minutes. As for our Martians, one is the equal of 10 Earthmen.
You don't seem to think very highly of us.
You misunderstand me. You see, we have advanced many ways scientifically. Not only do we live longer, but we Martians are 10 times as strong as you Earthmen.
You don't look it.
I shall prove it. Do you see that log by the fireplace?
Oh, yes.
Notice that the diameter of this log is almost 2 feet. Could any Earthman break this log in half with his bare hand?
Certainly not.
Watch.
Professor, did you see that? He shattered the log into splinters.
A very trivial feat. All the Martians are just as strong as I, some even stronger. You are very quiet, Professor.
I was thinking of the evening of June 22nd and the invasion.
Yes. Let us hope that no resistance will be offered. Well, gentlemen, now that you are my guests, I will show you to your room. This way, please.
Professor, what are we going to do?
Speak softly, Keith. Your room may have a dictaphone.
Yes, you're right.
Somehow we must warn Washington of the forthcoming invasion. There is little that can be done to stop the Martians, but we must prepare.
Escape from here is impossible. Look out the window, Professor. That wire fence is charged with electricity. The grounds are all lit up with those floodlights, and there are guards everywhere.
Yes, this ranch is like a fortress. And yet we must escape, warn Washington.
I'm afraid it's hopeless, Professor.
Perhaps not.
Oh, what do you mean?
Keith, this ranch has its own power plant to generate electricity. Now, if I were to short-circuit the system, you might be able to escape in the darkness and confusion.
Yes, maybe I could.
Look, it is a 12-foot jump from the window to the ground. And then to the garage, it is 20 yards. Now, if you are fortunate, you will be able to start the car before anyone can stop you.
But, Professor, there's the gate. How will I get out?
It is 200 yards from the garage to the fence. If you get up enough speed, you ought to be able to crash through the gate.
Yes, you're right. But what about you, Professor? I don't want to leave you here.
Well, it cannot be helped, Keith. I am a little too old for running. You will have to make it alone.
All right, Professor. But the moment I reach the village, I'll notify the sheriff.
No, Keith, you must not do that. You heard what DeKoven said. He has Martian agents scattered all over the country. The sheriff may be one of them.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that.
Once you escape, DeKoven will leave no stone unturned to recapture you. You must get to Washington before he can stop you.
Who am I to see in Washington?
General Wadsworth, head of scientific research. Tell him exactly what happened and the date for the invasion.
All right.
Stand by the window while I create a short circuit. Now, the minute the lights go out, jump, Keith, and keep running.
Yes, Professor.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
There go the lights. Jump, Keith.
I jumped out of the window before the words were out of the professor's mouth. The moment I hit the ground, I started running. In a matter of seconds, I reached the garage and climbed into my car. Fortunately, there were no guards nearby. I started the motor, stepped on the gas, and the car roared out the garage. The car was doing 60 miles an hour as it crashed through the front gate and onto the main highway. Shots rang out as I crouched low in the driver's seat. A half hour later, I reached a small town and succeeded in hiring a pilot and a private plane. As we took off, a car came racing across the airfield, trying unsuccessfully to prevent the takeoff. 15 hours later, I was in Washington, telling my story to General Wadsworth.
And you say, Mr. Roberts, you escaped from the ranch in Montana last night?
Yes, General, and Professor Friedberg is still there, a prisoner of this Martian agent DeKoven. We must rescue him, General, we must.
Now, please don't excite yourself, Mr. Roberts. I've sent for a doctor, and he'll be here any minute. He'll give you something to calm your nerves.
You mean you don't believe me? You think I imagined everything?
You've probably been working too hard, and as a result...
But I tell you, it's the truth, every word of it. The professor is a prisoner of this Martian agent DeKoven. Why won't you believe me?
Here's today's newspaper. If you look at this story on the front page, you'll note that Professor Friedberg is dead.
Dead?
He was found dead in his bed at Ardmore, Pennsylvania this morning. And furthermore, a medical examination revealed he's been dead 48 hours. Heart attack.
But that's impossible. The professor was with me last night in Montana. Just 16 hours ago.
Please, Mr. Roberts, get hold of yourself. It's all here in the paper, just as I've told you.
Well, wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to see what happened.
Please, Mr. Roberts.
DeKoven murdered the professor with a drug. A drug that made it appear as if he'd died of a heart attack. Yes, that must be it.
But you said you'd seen the professor only 16 hours ago. Yet the medical examiner said he'd been dead 48 hours.
DeKoven's behind that. Somehow DeKoven has made it appear that the professor has been dead 48 hours to discredit my story. And after he murdered the professor, he had the body flown to the professor's home. Don't you see, General? DeKoven wants you to think I'm insane to prevent you from believing my story. Now, you must listen to me. The Martian invasion is scheduled for June 20th.
There you are at last, Doctor. I am afraid Mr. Roberts here is very badly in need of your services. See what you can do, won't you, Doctor?
That was several weeks ago, Doctor. And ever since that day I told General Wadsworth my story, I've been confined to this institution. One doctor after another has examined me, but they're all a pack of fools. None of them believe me. Dr. Williams, you're my last hope. I know that. If you don't help me, then there's no one else I can turn to.
I'll do anything I can for you, Mr. Roberts.
Then don't let them put me away. I know my story sounds fantastic, but it's true. You must believe me.
I do believe you, Mr. Roberts.
You do?
Yes. Well, there are one or two things in your story I'd like to check.
Of course, Doctor. Of course. I knew you'd see I was telling the truth.
To begin with, you say this Martian, DeKoven, was it?
Yes, Jason DeKoven.
Yes, you say this fellow DeKoven picked up a log that was 2 feet in diameter and crushed it in his hand.
Yes, Doctor. He splintered that thick log into 100 pieces.
Oh, that's incredible. Would you say the log was as thick as this one by my fireplace?
Yes, just about the same size. But, Doctor, Why are you picking the log up?
I just want to show you something.
You splintered the log into small pieces. Just as De Koven did. You're one of them. A Martian.
Yes, Mr. Roberts.
De Koven said they were scattered all over the world, in key positions.
Quite true. We've been watching you with great amusement these past weeks. We knew your story would never be believed, not after De Koven's clever disposal of Professor Friedberg.
What are you going to do with me? Declare me insane and confine me to this institution?
Oh, no, Mr. Roberts. You're perfectly free to leave at any time.
I'm free? To go?
Yes, any time you desire.
Aren't you afraid that someone in Washington might believe me?
No, Mr. Roberts, you no longer present a problem. I believe you said the invasion was scheduled to occur on June 22nd at 8:30 p.m. New York time. Is that correct?
Yes.
In other words, tonight.
Tonight?
Yes. Didn't you know it's June 22nd?
I've lost all track of time.
I see by my watch it's exactly 8:28. According to your story, the invasion should start in just 2 minutes.
Yes.
I'll open a window so we can see the skies. Yes. There's the Martian invasion fleet coming into the stratosphere. Mr. Roberts, I do believe your story. It is now 0 hour. The invasion has begun.
Mysterious traveler. Did you enjoy our trip? What's that? You don't like the idea of the Martians conquering the Earth? Well, I wouldn't worry too much about Keith Roberts' story. After all, tonight is June 22nd, and it is 8:30. But I don't see any Martians around. Do you? I'm afraid poor Mr. Roberts imagined the story he told Dr. Williams, and when Dr. Williams told him it was a delusion, Roberts felt he was being persecuted and accused Dr. Williams of being a Martian agent. Now, I recall another young man who insisted that he... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
Randy Towerhausen here again.
Let me see the mic again for a second.
Leave it alone!
Come on.
I don't know if you can hear the curious humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone nearer. Now we're not more than 20 feet away. Can you hear it now? Oh, Dr. Von Martinez?
Yes, what is it?
Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside that thing?
Probably mouses.
You mean mice?
Mices? Where?
Dr. Von Martinez? Dr. Von Martinez?
Can't you see I'm trying to stomp mooses?
Just one more question. Do you still think it's a meteor?
Meteor? Meteor then what? Beef? Chicken?
Thank you, Doctor.
Give me that.
Hey!
Now, when most of you heard the title 0 Hour, you weren't thinking of the Mysterious Traveler episode we just heard. You were undoubtedly thinking of the Ray Bradbury tale where alien creatures use children to infiltrate the world of adults. Likewise, most of you probably thought the X-1 episode pairing off Bradbury's 0 Hour with his tale, There Will Come Soft Rains. Well, Future Tense, a series remaking the X-1 series, did it, as well as Escape and Suspense. Suspense ran 2 versions, one in 1958, and this version in 1960. Listen now to the Suspense episode, 0 Hour.
This is stupid. I'm going home to watch Who's the Boss.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. 0 Hour, written for suspense by Ray Bradbury.
Only with love, discipline, and luck can the helpless parents hope to lead the bewildered child toward the grown-up world, where things are not always what they seem. But what if the parents were to be denied that opportunity? What if the innocent little children were to take over the world at 5 o'clock some quiet summer afternoon? Well, here's the answer as we bring you Ray Bradbury's chilling story of childhood, 0 Hour. What a game! Such excitement the children hadn't known in their whole lives. Mink talked earnestly to someone near the rose bush, though no one was there. And then the two little girls shouting, laughing at each other. Such fun, such tremendous joy. It was all Mink's mother could do to get her grimy and excited daughter in for lunch.
Goodness, Mink, I've never heard such a racket out in the garden. What were you and Anna up to?
Most exciting game ever. Just ever.
Oh, what's the name of the game?
Invasion.
Invasion? Well, invasion will have to wait until you've eaten your lunch properly. Now, slow down, young lady. Do you hear?
Can't. Bill's waiting for me.
Drill? What a peculiar name. Is he a new boy in the neighborhood, dear?
He's new, all right.
I don't think I've seen him. Which one is Drill?
Oh, he's just around. I've got to go now, Mom, if we're going to have the invasion.
You finish your milk, miss. Who's invading what?
Martians are invading the Earth.
Oh, I see. And Drill's a Martian?
I think so. He's had a very hard time getting here.
Oh, I should imagine.
They couldn't figure a way to attack Earth. How to get in or something.
Mm-hmm.
Drill says they have to do it by surprise. And even get help from your enemy.
Ah, fifth column.
Yes. And all this time they haven't been able to figure out how to attack. Until one day, they thought of children.
Well, that was bright of them.
And they thought of how grown-ups are so busy. They never look under rose bushes or on lawns.
Is that where Drill is now, under the rose bush?
Yes, with all his friends, too. He says there's something about kids under 11 with imagination. It's real funny to hear Drill talk.
It must be. Well, you can run along now so you can have your invasion before dark. Bath tonight. School tomorrow, you know.
Drill says I won't have to take any more baths.
Oh, he does he?
And we can stay up till 10 o'clock.
Well, your friend Mr. Drill had better mind his P's and Q's or I'm going to call up his mother and tell her...
That's just it. Drill says you're dangerous because you don't believe in Martians. Just like you think Drill's a kid. Well, he's not. And they're going to let us run the world. When they get in. All of us kids. And I might even be queen.
Well, that's nice, dear. Now run along.
Mom?
What is it, dear?
Mom, when the invasion comes, we'll have to get rid of you and Daddy. But I'll be sure it won't hurt very much.
Well, thanks. Thanks a lot. Hello?
Hello, Mary.
Helen.
How are you?
How nice. Are you in town?
No, I'm up home in Plainfield. I was thinking of you, thought I'd call.
It's long distance, though. You shouldn't.
Oh, I can afford 3 minutes. How's Henry?
Fine. And Bill?
Just fine. What about Mink?
Oh, wonderful. Noisier than ever. She's got a new game now. It's taken the place of hopscotch. Invasion.
Oh, is she playing that, too?
Yes, are yours?
Same thing. Some kind of geometric jacks, I suppose. Isn't it a scream? All the kids their age are playing it up here. Timmy's got a crush on some guy named Drill. I think that's what it is.
It must be a new password. Mink likes him, too.
I didn't know it had got to your part of the world. Word of mouth, I suppose. You know, kids. Funniest thing. I got a letter from my sister in Boston. She says her kids are playing it, too. It's sweeping the country.
Well, I wonder where they learned it.
Don't ask me. All I know is what Timmy told me at lunch. 0 hours at 5 o'clock.
When?
5 o'clock today. That's when the invasion's going to be. These kids and their imagination. Oh, I wanted to tell you about...
And they talked a little more, schoolgirl friends, casual woman talk. But Mrs. Morris was thoughtful. She was thinking of other things, of adults, of little children with imagination, rose bushes, and their unseen friend named Drill.
I will.
She thought of how much she'd forgotten about being a child, and she wondered about Mink and all the kids everywhere who, at that moment, were playing Invasion. Inside the Morris house, an hour drowsed by, while across the town, in other gardens, in other backyards, little children were excitedly playing a game, talking to rose bushes, the grass lawns, trees, and shrubs. Even children in apartment houses high in the air, conferring with potted plants, cactus and ivy. Mrs. Morris had finished her mending and gone back to the kitchen when Mink burst in.
Hello, dear.
Hi, Mom. Can I have a glass of water?
Of course, I'll get it.
Pi r squared, 47. A over 56 to the 7th degree. X, T, 7.
What, dear?
Nothing, Mom.
Here's your water.
Thanks.
How are things going? The invasion.
Oh, that.
Yes, that.
Almost finished. Drill says we should be ready on time.
5 o'clock?
That's right. How did you know?
Helen called from Plainsfield. She says Timmy's playing it, too.
Hey, that's keen.
Well, I guess all the kids are, aren't they?
No, not all of them. Not guys like Gil Esley and Jimmy Woods. They're growing up. Make fun of us. They're worse than parents. Well, we'll get rid of them. Drill says it's okay to kill them, too.
Now, I don't like that kind of talk, Mink. Do you hear me? I don't like it at all.
Oh, Mom.
I mean it. You keep on that way and there's no more playing. You'll have to tell Anna to go home and you'll stay inside until bedtime.
I'm sorry.
Well, I should think so.
Thanks for the water, Mom.
Mink?
Uh-huh.
What did those numbers mean?
What numbers?
Those numbers you were saying to yourself a minute ago.
Oh, that. They're the things we have to do to get Joel and his friends out. That's all.
Look, dear, why don't you and Anna go down to the drugstore and get some ice cream? You don't have to use your allowance. I'll give you the money.
Haven't got time, Mom. Thanks.
Well, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
I've got to go now, Mom.
Wait just a minute. Mink, I want you to tell me the truth now. What is this invasion silliness?
It isn't silly. It's just a game, that's all, Mom. We're just playing an invasion. Excuse me, I gotta get back now. I'll see you later.
Mrs. Morris was disturbed. She wasn't sure why. But because she was disturbed, she did something she didn't usually do. She called her husband at the office.
Hello, dear.
Hello, Henry. I'm sorry to bother you, but Miss Maxon said you weren't busy.
Not too. I should be able to get home early today. Everything all right?
Yes.
You all right?
I'm fine.
Mink?
Oh, she's... Henry?
What, dear?
Oh, nothing. I just felt like talking to you for a minute, that's all.
Listen, you sure you're all right?
Yes.
Mink been getting on your nerves?
No, not really. She's playing outside. She's fine.
Honey, is something wrong?
No, I told you I was thinking about you and wanted to talk, that's all. What time do you think you'll be home?
About 5, maybe a little earlier.
5? Oh.
Hey, what do you mean, oh?
Well, I was just thinking... Nothing, really. Goodbye, darling.
You are okay, aren't you?
I'm fine. Goodbye.
Bye.
Another hour passed. It was 4:30. Outside it was quiet. The two little girls more intent than ever upon the endless movement of their game. Mrs. Morris watched from the window, and she had never known Mink to have such powers of concentration. She turned on the radio and sat drinking a cup of coffee, turning over her thoughts. Children. Children love and hate side by side. Sometimes children love you and hate you all in a half a second. Children. Do they ever forget or forgive the whippings and the harsh, strict words of command? I wonder. How can you forget or forgive those over and above you, those tall, silly dictators, those parents?
Mom?
What is it, dear?
Have we got a piece of lead pipe and a hammer?
Well, I don't know. They might be in the garage. What do you want them for?
Oh, we just need them.
Well, if you tell me, I can
get them. Thanks, Mom.
Is something wrong?
Drill's stuck halfway. If we could get him in all the way through, it'd be easier. Then all the others could come through after him.
Can I help?
Thanks, Mom. I can do it.
You better hurry, Mink. I want you to take your bath before your father comes home.
All right.
He's coming home early and... Mink? Mink?
Mink has disappeared behind the shrubs. Mrs. Morris knew it was ridiculous to make an issue of it. Besides, what was the issue? Invasion? Drill? 0 hour? Just a child's game. Time passed. Curious, waiting silence came upon the street, deepening. And then from the living room, Mrs. Morris heard... o'clock. 0 hour. It had come. And now it had gone. But was the clock right? And Mrs. Morris, knowing how foolish it was, knowing it, went to the phone and dialed.
Silly.
The time is 4:54 and 20 seconds.
4:54 and 20 seconds. And Mrs. Morris knew that it wasn't as silly as she had thought, because it wasn't 5 o'clock yet, not 0 hour yet. Then she heard the car drive up and her husband greeting her daughter.
Hi, Mink.
Hi, Daddy. How's it going?
Fine. Got a kiss for me?
I haven't got time now, Daddy.
That's a nice thing. What are you doing?
We're playing Invasion.
Swell. Your mother in the house?
Yes.
Okay, be good.
I will. 0 hour in a few minutes, Daddy.
All right, I'll be ready. Mary!
In the living room, dear.
Hi. Our daughter didn't have time for a kiss. How about you?
Hi, Dave.
Not particularly.
Would you like a cocktail?
You read my mind.
Martini?
Perfect. Anything exciting happened today?
No. Oh, Helen called.
Oh?
From Plainsfield. I told her she was crazy, but she just felt like calling.
Like you calling me this afternoon. Crazy, huh? What was that all about?
I told you. I wanted to.
Hey, incidentally, what's this new game the kid's playing? Invasion? That's a nice, depressing thought. Is Mink all right? Come to think of it, she looked kind of funny.
Yes, she's all right. What's the time, Henry?
A couple of minutes after 5. Why?
No, the clock's wrong. By your watch.
Huh? Oh, I've got 2 minutes to. I'm probably slow. You got something on the stove?
No, I just want...
Honey, hey, look at me. What's the matter?
Nothing. Really?
Now...
Really?
Mink's been up to something.
Of course not.
Then what?
I guess I'm a little tired, upset, that's all.
You want to go out for dinner?
No, I've got a steak in the icebox.
Tell you what, I'll barbecue it. How'd that be?
Fine. What was that?
What?
I thought I heard something.
I didn't.
I must have been imagining it.
You are jumpy. Why don't you have a drink? Do you good.
I don't want one. What time is it now?
Mary, what is this? I mean it. Something's wrong. Now, I want to know...
It's silly, Henry. It's so silly. I'm on edge, that's all.
I don't like it. That kid's done something, hasn't she? I'm going to get her in here.
No, Henry, please. Please don't. She hasn't. It's nothing at all. I just...
What's that?
I don't know.
Those kids haven't got anything dangerous out there, have they? I noticed a lot of junk lying around.
I thought it was a game. She wouldn't have done it herself. They've made her do it.
What the devil?
Maybe you'd better go out and tell them to stop playing now. It's after 5. You tell Mink to put off the invasion until tomorrow. Tell her that...
What are they up to? I better take a look. Wait! Good Lord, it's outside there.
No, it's upstairs. I know it is. In the attic.
Mary, it's not up there. It's outside.
It's in the attic. That's where it is.
Her mind had worked that quickly. Any excuse to get her husband away from the outside, to get him upstairs to the attic in time. And outside there were more eerie explosions, and they could hear the children screaming with delight.
It's not in the attic. It's outside. Mink's out there. What's the matter with you?
No, Henry, I'll show you. Hurry. Get inside, quick. Now we're safe until tonight. Maybe we can sneak out later. Maybe we can escape.
Are you crazy? Why did you throw the key away? For heaven's sake, the kid's out there. Do you want her to...
Oh, you don't know. You don't... We've got to stay here, Henry. We've got to. You've got to stay here with me.
I don't know how the devil I can get out. Where's that light switch?
Be quiet, please. Be quiet. They'll hear us. They'll find us. Henry, please.
There's that noise. It's in this house now. Mary, what is this?
Oh.
Mary, what's happening? You know. Answer me. Stop that. Mary, somebody's downstairs. Who's down there?
Oh, no.
Who?
No. No, hush. Please be quiet. Please, they might go away. Please.
And between his wife's terror and the electric humming from below, Mr. Morris felt a great fear. They trembled together in silence in the attic. Mr. and Mrs. Morris, parents of the little girl named Mink. Then they heard steps coming up the stairs, and a voice.
Mommy? Daddy? Where are you?
And a queer, cold light became visible under the door crack, a strange odor, and the alien sound of eagerness in Mink's voice was almost more than they could bear. And another sound. And the lock to the attic door melted. Mink, with bright little eyes and tousled hair, peered inside, and behind her, tall, wavering blue shadows. Frightful shadows.
Peekaboo!
Hey, Towerhausen, I didn't know your ex-wife had a wooden leg. Or an eye patch. That's kind of hot. Hey!
Randy Towerhausen here at Grover's...
Hey, man, give me your mic.
Just a minute. Something's happening. The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Wait a minute, someone's crawling out of the hollow top. Someone or something. I can see peering out of that black hole 2 luminous discs. Are they eyes? It might be a face. It might be...
Oh, hello, everyone.
Hey there, Dr. Despicable.
You know this creature?
You can't talk to my friend like that. Pay no attention, zombie.
I know, he's so rude. If you don't mind my asking, how'd you get in there?
This. It's my quantum location generator. One zap and you're transported to a most random and unlikely location. Allow me to demonstrate.
Why are you pointing that thing at me?
You better give me that.
My mic!
Hey, give them back!
Just turn this, switch this, set this, adjust this, rotate this, press this button, and...
Remarkable. So where will he end up?
What, do I look like Criswell? Who knows? His location will be so random and unlikely, even I couldn't venture to guess.
Cool. Say, since we're being broadcasted live, any suggestions for the listening audience on good alien invasion flicks?
You know, it's funny you should ask. To begin with, oh, wait a second, I almost forgot. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. This business of invading the Earth on film blossomed rather late in the Hollywood timeline. There are no silent films on the subject of which I am aware, and the few films of the 1930s were generally cobbled together from such serials as Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and finishing up with Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe. Don't look so impressed. The only thing he conquered was Ming the Merciless. Again. Well, throughout the 1940s, of course, people had their hands and lives full with invasions right here on Earth. The 1950s were another matter, though, and there was comparatively little fumbling at the outset, almost as though people had been waiting to make this kind of film. Yes, in 1953 alone, we had Invaders from Mars, War of the Worlds, and, Robot Monster. 1955 brought us the motion picture version of BBC Television's excellent series, The Quatermass Experiment. Ryan Donnelly was fierce as the redoubtable Professor Bernard Quatermass. And things were still rather slow, though, due to the American government's obsession with the evils of communism. There came, in 56, a bit of allegorical backlash in the invasion of the body snatchers, which exemplified the wildfire paranoia of the era. Earth versus the Flying Saucers appeared the same year, with smashing stop-motion effects by Ray Harryhausen. Such was its impact on our culture that it was remade 40 years later as Independence Day. Truly a landmark in unnecessary filmmaking. As 1957 brought Quatermass back to big screen in Quatermass 2, and the Japanese science fiction epic The Mysterians, the U.S. title of a couple of Japanese words I can't pronounce, but it's on DVD, so look for it. Night of the Blood Beast came in 58, along with the quite excellent and creepy I Married a Monster from Outer Space. Speaking of outer space, we had both Teenagers and Plan 9 from there in 59. They're giving us 3 years to settle down and catch our breaths for the Three Stooges to go on the bandwagon with the Three Stooges in orbit, which is remarkably not utterly awful. The rest of the 60s slowed down on the invasion front. Well, there was the occasional entertaining debacle from such folks, that's folks with an O, as Larry Buchanan, who gave us Mars Needs Women in 1965, starring the ever-popular Tommy Kirk, as well as Zontar, the Thing from Venus. An interesting fact about Zontar is that it never played theaters. A remake of Roger Corman's It Conquered the World, it was produced to fill out AIP's syndication package. As he also gave us the Eye Creatures. Lucky us. Then the Green Slime finished off the decade in 1969. That same year, The Monitors, from Keith Laumer's much better novel, almost finished off science fiction films altogether. And of course, there are other fun films, some of them that one do sneering at, shall we say, such as The Brain from Planet Arros and Invisible Invaders, both of which happen to star John Agar. Perhaps I should look a bit closer at his career. Well, and then we have...
Excuse me. Pardon me. Good evening, this is American correspondent Steve Martin, substituting for Randy Towerhausen. The giant monster is still stalking the streets, crushing everything in its path, terrifying the people of Japan.
I beg your pardon, young man. We are not in Japan. We are in Glendale.
Well, that's what I said. Terrifying the people of Japan in Glendale.
Now, while you surf the web to find those cinematic gems, listen to this tale of an invasion that's already happened. Senator Varney is a disagreeable, power-drunk old coot whose annual budget review and unreasonable and insistent nature leads him to uncover a government secret hidden away on the grounds of Fort Powell in Building B-2000. Listen now to the crisis episode, Building B-2000.
Sooner or later, when you least expect it, there comes a point of no return, a dead end from which there seems no escape, a moment in time, a moment of crisis.
Tell me that again, General.
I said this area is off limits.
Even to a United States Senator?
I'm afraid so, Senator Varney.
Even to the chairman of the Defense Budget Committee?
Yes, sir.
You do realize that I can call the president and get into this building? But that if I have to do that, it's going to be embarrassing for you, General Cloves.
I'm very sorry, Senator. I have my orders.
From who?
From the president.
Listen. You listen to me, Cloves. Just what are you people trying to pull out here? What's going on in that building that's costing the taxpayers of this country $61 million?
Senator, I can't tell you.
It began with a routine annual budget review in Washington, D.C. Hawk Varney, Senator Peter C. Varney, went to work slashing every possible non-essential from the military spending budget for the biennium and decided to make in-person visits to establishments where there was any question about military appropriations. On July 18th, his junket took him to Fort Powell near the Utah-Nevada border. What actually happened at Fort Powell subsequent to his visit is, of course, still under the tightest security. But from what reports have been made, and from what informed sources have speculated, a reasonably accurate picture can be assembled. In 1 minute, Crisis brings you this remarkable story, with the reminder, of course, that it is still just speculation. The title? Building B-2000. And now, Building B-2000. It should be borne in mind that Peter C. Varney was a man accustomed to power. Besides his influential position in the Senate, he held the rank of Brigadier General in the U.S. Air Force Reserve. He had distinguished himself as a pilot in World War II, earning the nickname that was to follow him through the rest of his career in public life, but you know all that. Hawk Varney was swift, powerful, and determined, and he preferred to work alone. Perhaps if he had brought a delegation with him to that sun-baked army base in the desert instead of arriving alone at the controls of his own rented private jet, things might have been different. But as it was, Hawk Varney swooped down without warning on that hot afternoon and began a minute inspection of Fort Powell.
My adjutant, Captain Wicker.
How do you do, sir? Captain?
We didn't get word you were coming.
I didn't send word.
Naturally, we're only too happy to have you on the post, Senator. Have you had lunch?
I ate at Muroc.
Oh. Well, I want to show you my quarters. You can use it as your base of operations. How long do you plan to be with us?
I don't know. It's all the same to you, General. I'd like to have a look around.
Certainly. Captain, bring my car. Powell was established in 1942 as an infantry training camp, Senator. After the war, it was partially deactivated.
Yes, I know all that. What I need to check out now is just how essential all this real estate is in our defense inventory.
Of course. Well, we do many jobs here. We're at the Odolite tracking facility for NASA.
I'm interested in the defense aspects, General.
Well, as you saw, we have an excellent air facility and warehousing capability for staging military cargo planes.
What's in all those warehouses?
They're empty just at present. Quartermaster Corps uses the post as a backup during the Vietnam War.
I have all those figures, General.
Well, that's right. You would, of course.
Tell me about the tank testing range.
It's about 5 miles ahead. There's no activity there at the moment.
How many men are stationed here?
Well, we have at the moment just at 9,000.
All quartered on the post, I assume?
Yes, sir. They all live here on the post.
Funny, I haven't seen more of them.
Well, most of them are in training classes here and there.
Training for what?
Well, electronics, field repair, basic weaponry.
All right. Ask your driver to stop a minute, General. Come with me, General. Let's walk.
All right. You can just follow behind us in the car, Wicker.
Right, sir.
All right, General. Now, what's the score here?
I beg your pardon?
Fort Powell encompasses some 8,000 acres. You're drawing $61 million to operate this place. You have a rail spur with bright, shiny rails running behind a row of warehouse buildings. You say the buildings are empty, but those rails say they're in constant use. Rails rust fast, unless trains run over them constantly. Now, don't try to kid an old recon pilot, General.
Well, we had that track replaced just a short time ago.
And where do 9,000 soldiers park their cars, General?
Senator, I don't like being evasive.
Then don't be. Another thing you see from the air, General, is power lines. You're drawing enough power in here to light up a city. What are you doing with it? What is this post, General? What are you doing out here that takes $61 million?
Well, Senator, that's about the size of it.
Just a training base. That's sort of repair depot.
Yes, sir.
Time to time, you get in a load of gear that has to be fixed. You start in the warehouses, and your men repair the stuff and leave it again by rail.
That's about it.
Must be kind of a dull life for you, General.
We can't always pick our assignments.
No, that's true. That's true.
Captain, you might as well take us back to headquarters.
Yes, sir. Wait a minute. You know what I'd like to do?
What? What's that, Senator?
I'd like to follow this big, wide asphalt road that runs beside the railroad tracks. Where does it wind up, anyway?
Oh, it just goes out to a storage area, old ammunition, fuel, that sort of thing. Not really very much to see.
Humor me anyway, General.
Well, all right. Captain, let's do as the Senator asks.
Yes, sir. You can see a lot of things from the air, General. Of course, you know that. You're an old combat man.
Actually, no, I'm not.
Oh, is that so? Well, you get to noticing things if you ever did low-level reconnaissance flying. Like this road now. It gets a lot of very heavy usage, right?
Well, I suppose you'd say it does, yes.
Oh, it does. In fact, I'll tell you something else about it. It's used by trucks carrying something very heavy outbound, away from camp. But I would guess that they come back light. How am I doing?
Well, that's excellent. Very good, isn't he, Wicker?
He's sharp, General. See, sir, the trucks using this road are mainly loaded with fuel and ammo, and they go out and unload out here at the dump, and they come back empty.
That's right, Senator. You sure put your finger right on it.
Well, a guard and a big wire gate. Bet that's lonely duty.
Good afternoon, soldier.
Good afternoon, sir. Your destination, please?
Perimeter tour, about 20 minutes.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I'm very impressed by your security here, General Close.
Senator, that's been my specialty, you might say.
Yeah, interesting. Say, what's this up ahead? A tunnel?
We'll take the perimeter road, Captain.
No, this road we're on. What does it do? Go down underground?
That's right. The dump is all underground.
Must be pretty big. Say, I'm curious about something else. Those power lines. They all feed down into the fuel and ammo dump?
That's right.
Huh. This must be the most sophisticated dump in this man's army. Why are we turning off the road?
We're just going to drive you around the perimeter of the dump, Senator.
No, wait a minute. Let's go have a look at it.
All right, Wicker, just drive us down the entrance ramp.
Right.
Say, we're going right down into the ground, aren't we? Dark as night down here.
This road terminates in a big steel door, Senator. There, you can see it in the headlights. See? That's it.
Huh? Blast-proof?
Everything proof, Senator.
Building B-2000.
Right.
Pretty big inside?
Gigantic.
And then the power lines feed the lights and air, I suppose.
Right.
Well, as long as we came all the way out here, might as well have a look inside.
Senator, that I can't do. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. This area's off limits.
Tell me that again, General.
I said this area is off limits.
Even to a United States Senator?
I'm afraid so, Senator Varney.
Even to the chairman of the Defense Budget Committee?
Yes, sir.
You do realize that I can call the president and get into this building? That if I have to do that, it's going to be embarrassing for you, General Close.
I'm very sorry, Senator. I have my orders.
From who?
From the president.
Listen. You listen to me, Cloves. Just what are you people trying to pull out here? What's going on in that building that's costing the taxpayers of this country $61 million?
Senator, I can't tell you. Senator, I'm sorry to be so evasive. If you'll just understand that it's a matter of security.
Who the devil do you think you're talking to, man? I'm a senior senator. I control the purse strings for your very job. I'm a brigadier general on top of that. Nobody has a higher security clearance than I have. Nobody.
I understand that, Senator.
As a representative of the people of the United States, I'm expected to know where every penny of their defense dollars are going. Now, frustrating me in my attempts to discharge my duty is a very serious matter, General, very serious. Now, I'd like you to reflect on that. And implying that I am a security risk.
Senator, I'm not implying anything of the kind.
Then take me down into that building B-2000.
I'm sorry, sir.
Where's your scrambler phone? Do you have one in your office?
I'll get it for you. Just let the receiver.
I know how to use it, General. You may think you're doing your duty, General, but... hello? Priority A1. This is Senator Peter Varney calling the President. Yes, I'll hold. Maybe you think you're doing your duty, but you're going to learn that you don't withhold anything from me, General. You got that?
Sir, if the President will permit me to do it, I'll be only too...
Hello? Yes? Oh, he is. All right, give him this message. Tell him Senator Varney is on a fact-finding mission for the Defense Budget Committee at Fort Powell, Nevada. And I'm being denied access to certain facilities here. That's right. The CO is Major General Cloves. Tell the President I want confirmation of my clearance by voice to General Cloves. Got that? All right. You do everything the hard way, General.
I try not to, Senator.
You can still change your mind about building B-2000.
Senator, you're asking me to compromise my oath. I'm only doing my job.
General, I'm only doing my job. My job to buy this country the strongest possible defense with the fewest possible dollars. And if you can't show me some justification for this place in the overall defense picture, I'm going to see to it that it comes off the inventory so fast it'll make your head spin. Now, that's my job. All right, Cloves. Let's talk reasonably, okay? Now, obviously, this whole camp is a cover for something you're hiding down in that hole in the ground. Now, if you have a weapon system down there, do you think I'm going to question the expenditures?
No.
Of course not. But as long as you prevent me from seeing where the money's going, you know it could cast suspicion on you. Don't you see?
It's no use, Senator. If you only knew what's at stake,
Well, I can tell you what's at stake. Your job, General.
It's a damn sight more than that, Senator. The security phone. General Cloves. Yes, sir. Right here. Senator, for you.
Barney here. Good evening, Mr. President. That's exactly why I'm out here, sir. I wonder if you would permit me to put General Cloves back on the line so he could hear you personally assure him that I am authorized to be admitted to any building on his post. Building B-2000. Yes. What? Sir, you and I have often been on opposite sides of the fence on a lot of things, but I always believed you respected... Mr. President, may I respectfully suggest to you that this sounds like a cover-up? Yes, Mr. President. Here, General. He wants to talk to you.
Mr. President. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, I understand. Good night, Mr. President. Senator, at 0900 hours tomorrow morning, I'll show you the inside of building B-2000.
Senator Varney, it's 8 o'clock.
Good morning. Good morning, Captain Wicker. I'm ready.
I hope you slept well, sir.
I did. I always do. Say, sometime early this morning, I thought I heard a jet land out on the strip. A big one.
You did, sir. We have another visitor.
Good morning.
morning,
Senator. We have a surprise for you. I'm sure you know the Secretary of Defense.
Senator?
Well, that was you I heard coming in this morning.
I'm sorry that we awakened you.
What brings you here?
I am here on the President's orders to see you.
Well, I must have turned over a really big rock.
You did, yes.
You going to accompany me out to building B-2000 this morning?
Only if you continue to insist on seeing it.
So that's it. Well, Mr. Secretary, yes, I continue to insist.
Very well. But first, Senator, I must warn you that there will be some very serious consequences if you see it.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Secretary, there'll be some serious consequences if I don't. Now, last night, I used the phone in my quarters to call my chief aide back in Washington, and I filled him in on all that's been going on out here. Now, he's ready to break the news to every network and wire service if I'm denied access to that building. Now, do you have any idea what that'll look like? Wait till Anderson gets hold of that.
You should never have done that, Varney. That was most unwise. Nevertheless, it is done. It is my duty to inform you that the consequences to you personally will be serious and permanent if you...
Mr. Secretary, we're wasting the taxpayers' time. Let's get out to building B-2000.
I am sure that you recall the Manhattan Project.
Certainly. The code name for this country's first atom bomb project.
That required a blind appropriation from Congress.
And there was also a war on, and we had our backs to the wall. We knew the Germans were trying to build one, too. You building an atom bomb?
Ah, here we are.
The door operates on a handprint code.
A moment, please, General. Senator, I must warn you that when you come out of this building, you will never be the same again.
Open the door, General.
Through this viewing window you can see, Senator.
Well, I'll be...
This craft had a malfunction and was forced to land. That was 1971. More of their ships arrived shortly. We agreed to provide an environment in which their crews could repair such ships and replenish them for a continuation of their missions through the galaxies.
It's a spaceship.
We had no alternative, you see. We either provide them with a supercooled environment, with high-pressure carbon dioxide, and with the electrical energy they require for replenishment, or they cause another energy blackout, as they did once before.
Let me down in there.
Don't be ridiculous, Senator. No human being can live in their atmosphere.
Those are humans running around down there.
Don't be too sure, Senator. You've seen enough. Come now, they don't like visitors.
It's blackmail. You're feeding them our power, our energy. When we could come in here with one ground-level H-bomb and...
Senator, please.
You're giving them our energy.
Senator, we are giving them an Earth base in return for the Earth.
This is the biggest farce I've ever heard of. It's blackmail. Blackmail.
All right, gentlemen, take it.
You just wait till What is this? Globes?
Into the ambulance, Senator.
Ambulance? What's this for?
Just make it easy on yourself.
I don't need an ambulance. Get your hands off me!
Well, here are your press releases. They correspond to the official release the President will give.
Bethesda again, huh?
Poor devil. Senator Peter C. Varney has been admitted to Bethesda Naval Hospital for observation following a breakdown suffered while on a routine inspection of a military base. It was not known...
Please, Captain, if you would drive us back to camp. You'll be able to read it all in the papers tonight.
You have heard Building B-2000, which featured Douglas Young as Senator Varney, Terry McManus as General Cloves, Jim Kelly as the Secretary of Defense, and Merrill Mail as Captain Wicker, and was written and produced by yours truly, Jim French.
Greetings, this is Taliesin TTLG invading the frequency of fear, and in this podcast we are going to examine the phenomena that is crap bat syndrome. Whilst not exclusively a vampire genre issue, crap bat syndrome is most commonly observed in vampire movies, born out of an inability by special effects artists to make a realistic looking bat, and the fact that using a real bat is not an option as you can't really train them to fly where you want. Crap bat syndrome, and the observation thereof, has become a favourite pastime over at Taliesin Meets the Vampires. So many vampire movies have crab bat syndrome, but here are three of the worst offenders. The 1995 film Witchcraft 7 Judgment Hour was a definite offender when it came to crab bat syndrome. The first time we see a bat, it is animated, and not well. This is peculiar, as animating a bat was often a useful way of circumventing the syndrome. However, when we see a close-up of the vampire in bat form, the full force of crap bat syndrome comes to bear. For the life of me, I could swear that the bat's face is a doctored gorilla mask. It certainly looks like no bat I've ever seen, and it most definitely is a rubber mask. The next film is the exploitation hit from 1973, The Devil's Plaything. This was budget cinema, and in having no budget, they made two big crap bat syndrome faux pas. The first view of a bat is not a view at all. We see Julia, played by Anke Siring, attacked by something. We hear the noise of bats, but we see nothing, just the actress flailing her arms wildly in the air. When she gets into a house, the bats attack and rip her clothes off, but there are no rubber bats, obviously too expensive for the budget. In a moment of B-movie gold, the bats are clearly hand puppets. Finally, we come to the damp squib of a vampire comedy, Once Bitten, starring a rather young Jim Carrey. There is one scene with the bat, and although it is a dream sequence, that really isn't any excuse. The bat is obviously a puppet, and it's also furry. I mean cuddly toy furry. It really looks like a refugee from Sesame Street, or it would have done if the bat hadn't been more realistic. To get more information on these and many more vampire movies and books, visit Taliesin Meets the Vampires at taliesintttlg.blogspot.com. Alternatively, find the link in the links of the Zombie Astronaut.
Hello again, listeners. This is Randy Towerhausen again. After freeing myself from a refrigerated can of biscuits in a local supermarket, I hitched a ride with this gentleman to get back here.
You sure got purty lips.
Please let go of my hands. Oh, good heavens! Look at the cylinder. Something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. Now there's another one, and another one, and another one. They look like tentacles to me. I can see the thing's body now.
People of Earth.
It's emerged from the cylinder. It's horrible.
I am the Big Zabu.
It seems to speak English and proclaims its name to be the Big Zabu, an ugly name for an ugly creature.
We have traveled from the planet Mars.
This giant, hideous sack of tentacles and fat with the horrifying name proclaims to be from Mars. I can smell him from where I stand.
Oh, shut up. Oh, I hate the earthling media. It's all about Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and Posh Spice. What about the real stories? What about the real everyday tragedies? Like, did they ever get Prince Albert out of that can? Sir. All the humanity. Sir. What is it, Imperial Martian Guard? What about Prince Albert? Well, that's just idiotic. So forgive my saying so, that's just stupid. Now, I really can't wait to destroy your stinking planet. That's right, I'm gonna burn you all off the face of this stinking rock.
Ooh, real planet-wide massacre. I've never seen one of those. Not up close.
Oh, they're really cool. You'll love it.
Oh, I should have brought some popcorn. Ooh, and some Raisinets.
The worldwide cleansing begins in 5 minutes.
And now the streaming starts. Wait a second. The world.
Yeah?
You know, it's where I keep my stuff. And for that matter, it's where you're keeping your stuff, too, now.
Hey, you're right.
I'm invariably right.
All my stuff is here.
Indubitably.
And yours.
Indeed.
And this place is full of tasty brains. It'd be like setting fire to my favorite restaurant or a great Parisian cafe.
I brought my first Winnebago here.
Yeah, whatever. Look, we can't let him torch the earth.
Absolutely not. How can I take it over if he's gone and blown the dratted thing to smithereens?
Martians came down to Glendale. They were looking to destroy the world. They wanted to kill every man and woman, to flatten every boy and girl. But I and Doc said, we'll resist you with everything we've got. Sabu jumped up on a peg-leg stripper, said,
Zombie, let me tell you what. I bet you didn't know it. I play a mean kazoo. Let's have some fun. I'll make a bet with just the two of you. If you can beat me in a kazoo battle, you can have this sticking planet. But if I win, I blast it all, and that includes you, damn it.
Zombie, polish your kazoo and help defeat the aliens. Start helping the big Zaboom, save the Sabians.
The big Zabu stepped up and said,
Now let me do my thing.
Then he whipped out two of the nicest kazoos I think I've ever seen. Into his two kazoos he blew, and out came all this spit. He set up a karaoke machine and said,
Now I'll get on with it.
Two kazoos, that was truly amazing.
Thank you. I took an elective in college, and then it became my life's work.
Now it's our turn.
Zombie, polish your kazoo and help defeat the aliens. Stark, help beat the big Zaboom and save the Homo sapiens.
I got this off the cop I ate. Look, it's shiny.
What did you just do? I thought we were going to have a kazoo battle.
I don't have a kazoo. Those things cost like literally dozens of dollars.
With my handy portable duplicatron, I could supply you with hundreds of kazoos. Where's the plural kazee? Well, anyhow, I've been practicing for weeks.
Look, I don't care if... Hey, wait, how did you know this was going to happen weeks ago?
An unspecified number of dangerous time-travel experiments that have irreparably damaged the space-time continuum. But that's not the point. You cheated.
So what?
Well, I can't dispute that. You've used that argument too often myself. Well, all right. But someone's getting a kazoo for Christmas. Back to you, Bob.
And that wraps up a wholly remarkable news story. This is Bob Wolfenbridgen, bidding you a good day, good afternoon, or good night.
This has been an Action News Extreme special report with Bob Wolfenbridgen. Tonight on Wolfenbridgen This Week, Martians nearly destroy our planet. In the midst of her own drama, how does the near Martian attack affect Britney Spears?
Oh my God, it was like so scary. I wrote a song about it. I do not like no Martians, no. I find them scary, yeah, The Martians are not sexy, because I'm very sexy. I'm just so crazy sexy, but not the Martians, no.
This has been the Zombie Astronaut's Frequency of Fear. For more horror, sci-fi, and suspense audio, see the website at www.zombieastronaut.net. Right now!
The Invasion Will Not Be Televised was written by K.C. Locke and W. Ralph Walters. The Metagalactic Pizza abductee and Dr. Wilhelm von Martinez was played by Brent Hinks. The Metagalactic Pizza Guy was played by Todd Young. Theme Interruption Man, Police Officer Number 1, and Steve Martin were played by K.C. Locke. Bob Wolfenbridgen was played by Bill Holweg, who appeared courtesy of BrokenSea.com. Randy Towerhausen was played by Robert Lurie. Dr. Despicable appears courtesy of his charitable organization for the encouragement of young mad scientists, the March of Dooms. All other voices by W. Ralph Walters. The theme song was written by Norm Bourgeois and performed by Papa Suede. All other music by W. Ralph Walters.
Meatier than what? Beef? Meatier than chicken? Maybe some pork? Something? Make a taco?
You know, Zombie, my friend, you've managed to escape death for, I believe, 13 podcasts now.
13 podcasts, huh? Lucky number 13. I guess my luck's changing, isn't it? Oh, give me a break.
Oh, sweet mother of mercy, it's just terrible. I'll never get this glop out of my lab coat.